Sensei of Geekset. I actually am the brand manager and I run the fashion designing and everything for our brand. I'm actually one of the podcast members as well and co-owners.
What was the motivation for the creation of the brand? When did you feel necessary to create the brand?
For where I'm at now with the Geek line, I would say it started once pretty much like when COVID hit. When that hit, we was all trying to pivot as far as a company, or as Geekset as a podcast in general. So when we were putting all that together, trying to figure out what we were doing, we kind of started creating new shows and new ideas and trying to figure out how to expand Geekset into more than a podcast. So in that sense, that was kind of the moment when we kind of created the brand. And in that field, that's when I became more aware of what we were doing, and I started to try to make a line that would complement what Geekset is as a brand and as a label, like more than just what we podcast about, but really what us as individuals or as a group are trying to put out here to the world. So Geek became something that was more of a play on the word geeked, but instead making it more of a self-expression. So in the beginnings, it was a lot more of creating statements with the line, but it was pretty much like in the same realm of like doing what you love, loving what you do. At that time, Deuces was doing our one-on-ones, and we were starting to kick off another show. So that was really the moment where I decided to make a brand that represents all of Geekset other than just the podcast.
When did you start investing into it to take it to the next level?
You know what? It was a little bit before that. I would say this would have been, it would have been around the same time as around COVID. Like I was actually, before I started doing the Geek line, I actually had another person that was doing a lot of the printing and everything for us. So when he would, I was making more of the designs. So I was still doing my thing, making designs. This is actually when I had a collection called the No Dubs collection. And during this time, I was making a lot of my designs and sending everything to him. And he would kind of give me the prints and everything in that nature. So from there, I kind of started, that was my first self-inspired collection of clothing. But after that, I decided that I needed to look into printing more of this stuff myself, or at least to start doing a lot of more of my own test shots so I can see what it looks like before giving it to somebody else. So I invested, which was, I don't know how the universe works. I would say I got really lucky, but I started looking for, of course, like a cutting machine and looking into vinyl that I was using. And it so happened that my ex-wife had bought all of this stuff for my daughter. Like literally bought a whole Cricut and shirt press like set and a whole bunch of shirts. And my daughter Imani didn't want to do anything. She didn't want to touch it. She was like, that is not what my idea. That was not something I wanted to do. So I got the slide right in there without really making no big like searches for anything. Like it really kind of fell in my lap. And she just sold it to me, and so I was able to pretty much write from there with a Cricut machine and a press. Started running tests, and it pretty much at that point opened more of my ideas of different designs I can do and kind of create. So that was probably the first investment where it just kind of fell in my lap. So the fact that it fell so close to my lap, it felt like I have to use this. So yeah, that would be it.
Who inspired you to create?
At first, it was a lot of me. Like I was like when I started making the clothes, or when I started doing everything in general. Really, when Geek started, I was designing it in a way that it was mainly t-shirts. So I was pretty much just trying to find more abstract prints or vinyls and things that I can kind of use that just kind of show more variety and just using the terminology of geek. But as Geekset started to do more stuff, we started doing DreamCon and traveling more, and we started putting more of an emphasis on highlighting other geeks. It became my inspiration. Like a lot of my inspiration now relies on really just everybody around me and everything I'm doing. Geekset is heavily in it because I wouldn't be doing any of this stuff without Geekset around. So having Geekset, being part of the Geekset and being able to go to conventions, being able to meet all of these other people, having my peers like Rudy, being able to, successfully land jobs like Watch Mojo, and for us Geekset being able to get in the Forbes, like I was able to design shirts. Like, I mean, he's pretty much, because we're on a roll and the achievements we're doing. Like, I mean, he just gave me the idea to start a Blurs in or on series. Like, so it's now it's like, yeah, as Blurs make more accomplishments in the world, we're going to keep making different shirts showing you the spaces that Blurs are in. And that's really just, that didn't come from me. That came from the accomplishments that we've been doing as Geekset. So I now just get inspired by literally just being a part of this like experience. So it's like my design methods and what I think about, and it all kind of plays and falls into where I'm at with Geekset. So that's really where all my inspiration is coming from right now. It's still a lot of me, because I feel like it's me. I'm making what I want to wear. So I'm definitely inspired by what I think will look good on me. So once I get that out there, then it's pretty much, I'm hoping everybody else likes it.
What were you doing before pursuing this?
Before Geekset and the clothes, everything, I was pretty much doing a lot of regular jobs like anybody else. Worked at Walmart, worked at Dollar Tree and things of that. And I got a moment in life where I kind of worked for Microsoft, kind of doing a lot of Xbox work. And then I got a kind of an awkward job for a guy who was had a software business in Milwaukee, one of the rich guys or whatever, but it was pretty much one of those like incubator kind of businesses where everybody worked close with the boss, whatever. But I came in as tech support, using my knowledge of, I was pretty much already a nerd in computer stuff, and I have a associates in computer networking, but I never really used it for anything. But I kind of used that, and the guy really just hired me because I worked for Microsoft for about a year or two doing Xbox. So that's really what got me into the job. But I was tech support for this guy for a couple of years, and we ended up starting a new contract. I started working for one of his buddies who had a software business of his own. He's like a old rich Army vet in Dallas, and after a while, I started managing his business. I went from pretty much being a tech support to like an office manager. Then we had a lot of business changes, and I became like my own boss in a sense for this one client, where I was kind of handling his logistics and customer service and all this kind of stuff. And after a while, I just kind of worked myself into a place where it became my own business, and now I'm more of like a e-commerce operations manager, like a consultant actually, because he pretty much supplied me with my own staff of people that works out. So I just kind of handle his business on a day-to-day if anything goes wrong, but everything runs smoothly. And it now kind of became this like passive income. So it gives me a lot more time to do the conventions with Geekset, like work on all these other different ideas. I do a lot of my work just from a laptop or my phone, wherever I'm at. So it's a very unique path that I had got, you know what I'm saying? But that's pretty much what I'm still doing now because it's easy for me to do. But that's pretty much what keeps me available to do all this stuff with Geekset.
All right. Is the fashion, is this a old talent, renewed, or something you discovered later in life?
What's really crazy is like I've always had a weird kind of thing in fashion, even though feel like I was never the most fashionable guy. Like I never really was around people in school. Like I was in high school wearing vests and khakis. Like I was really a nerd. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my mother dressed me a lot. Like I didn't really get a chance to start dressing myself probably until maybe 16, 17 years old, when you get your own kind of job and you start buying stuff. But when I started doing music with my guys, I had my label and everything. One thing that I had immediately got into as we were doing shows was getting shirts of us made, like getting shirts made, whether it was getting someone just to screen print our album cover on a shirt, or other. I remember we had a group. I had a group called Cherry Clan, and neither one of the guys were from Cherry, but of course I made a shirt using the whole Cherry Clan cart, like the candy shirt, and they were performing in that. And I remember that's where they got their kind of like first response, where we was at a show and they really was like, "Bro, y'all from Cherry," and so that shirt didn't last that long. But so it was like I've always had an eye for trying to dress the people I was working with, especially in music. So when Geekset started, we were even in the really, really early stages. There's moments where we share posts of us having some kind of raffle or something with shirts, and Rudy was actually the one that started literally buying us merch and getting shirts made. Like a lot of our first shots of Geekset merch were like, we had a Game of Thrones themed shirt, and we had a Black Panther shirt for WakandaCon for a convention that we went to. And I don't know when the spark kind of came, or like when it happened or whatever, because it was definitely way before COVID. But at some point I just, kind of started working on my own thing and started kind of making designs again. And I kind of just asked Deuces, like, can you like help me find somebody to do some prints for us? And that's kind of when I first got into my first, shout out to Aztec. I stress this guy out a lot, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Aztec, but that's when I got my first guy to print for me, and I just started making designs. Rudy just really just backed off, like, and it wasn't like I think in a bad way or anything. He just was like, he saw all the different designs I was trying to do and ideas, and was like, well, you got it, bro. So that's what pretty much kicked me right back into. It took me a minute to realize that it's like you've always been kind of doing this in a sense for a very long time. So it's like now being a part of something bigger and being able to use more of my imagination. It's really just a full circle kind of thing.
What hurdles have you been up against taking this path you were on?
I mean, right now it's been, I think it's with anybody who's even trying to do anything for themselves. It's, money, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, especially when you're trying to feed your creativity, like we all understand that it costs a lot of money to invest in yourself. So I feel like the hardest thing that's been, the hardship is really, especially when you're doing the clothes, like you're trying to make sure that you're creating something that, even though it's original from yourself or from your own idea, is that other people like it, so that you actually can make money from it. People would actually buy it and sell. So I mean, I've definitely made some really wild decisions. Like I've done times where I bought a lot of the, like the actual material, the clothes and everything. Like when I did my No Dubs collection, I literally bought all of my shirts and everything before even, I bought all of my shirts and everything before even like getting the first couple sets printed. Like you're saying, like I was literally in the same moment. That's why I was telling, shout out to Aztec again. That's why I was saying, like I was pretty much like making the design that week, telling him this what the design gonna look like, and buying like $200-300 worth of shirts in different sizes, thinking I'm gonna sell that shit, the next weekend. Nobody was buying. Like I didn't have an idea on promoting, marketing. I didn't literally do nothing right. You know what I'm saying? And I spent thousands of dollars just buying shirts and ended up really giving a lot of it away. You know what I'm saying? Or just in a sense, I kind of turned it into something where it's like, well, you got to do something with it. So like I said, it really became a lot more opportunities of just using it for marketing to give to people or things of that nature. But I lost a lot. So I mean, the hardship is always going to be trying to find the success. Like that's really what I'm facing the hardest. Like I think everything else is like right. Like everything else is working fine.
So, have you had any small wins that surprised you on your journey, or any big wins?
Yeah, I mean, the wins. Like I guess the wins, and it really kind of comes on how you look at it as far as the wins. Like I said, even I still wasn't making any money. Like no matter the No Dub collection, the Geek collection, like I'm still just making these shirts. I'm kind of, the best thing about it is I'm dressing. I have 2 people. I have I have a squad of people that I can dress that with my ideas that are going to wear their stuff in different kind of scenarios or work that we do. So knowing that I always have a permanent set of people that I can kind of use as my models is really like that's really one of my biggest wins. Like I think for anybody in doing fashion, having a team or people that just support you and doing what you want to wear, who would just wear your stuff, like you want that, like you need that, like just walking billboards and those of that nature. So that's already a win. You know what I'm saying? Like having the machine behind me, I want to call it. But I mean, just the opportunities that I've been able to like give the shirts to, like I said, like having the rough moments of me not making any money, I've been able to literally, because of Deuces 101s, been able to send my shirts to a lot of different celebrities. Like I've gotten pictures from Deborah Wilson of her wearing the shirt. I have, like I was able to meet the Japanese Vegeta actor, voice actor Rio. Can't think of his last name right now, but we know you're talking about Rio. But I gave him a Vegeta No Dub shirt, like, and I feel like that was like, you know what I'm saying? That was one of my highlights, was being able to meet somebody, and it was my own kind of original design and everything like that. But being able to give him that, and he knew exactly what it was, and take a picture with it. Boy wasn't speaking a lick of English, but was just happy, and it's crazy because it's like those are like, for me, that's what I like. It's being able to just like see people who like my designs and decides to want to wear them, whether they're supporting Geekset as a whole, and we're all showing our different avenues of Geekset and being able to send it out to somebody and they like it. Another big one I gotta do before I finish is my man Moon Man. We was at DreamCon, like fam, like he's I think a Florida native, does music, but he was doing an after party and he helped us actually during our DreamCon podcast, but after that, he pretty much like, I gave him a shirt for helping us out, and he did an after party that like he pretty much literally was like on stage, thousands of everybody there from DreamCon, and like just wearing the shirt, rocking, like I got clips of everything like that, and I feel like that was like, being able to see it on the stage like that, is like, all right, I'm in the right area, I'm in the right space of people who would like the designs and ideas that I'm doing, and we'll really put used to it. You know what I'm saying? Kevin on stage and I'm wearing it. I mean, it's many people. Like, shout out to Deuces because like I have a list of people who's wore my shit already that a lot of motherfuckers ain't got. So I mean, shout out, like I fuck with that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that would be, I mean, it just, my biggest one is the fact that I have the space. I got people that fuck with me and give me the opportunity to have this creative space at any point in time. Like whatever I decide I want to do with something different, I got people that support it. So that's like the biggest win. But
what information would you leave behind to someone following your footsteps?
Give me a second with this. When it comes to fashion, like fashion is pretty much like art. So art, I mean, even when I talked about, this kind of relates to how I talk about Geeked. When it comes to fashion is pretty much art. Art is self-expression. So when you are doing clothes and you're doing this kind of thing in this realm, you are actually making things that are really a piece of you. It's a piece of your creativity, it's a piece of your imagination, it's a piece of your vulnerability, it's a piece of everything that makes you something. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not something that's been manufactured from a 9-to-5 job. These are not things that are manufactured from like other people's ideas or whatever. These are literally things that are coming from you. And that's how I feel about the geek line in that sense. Like this, it is self-expression. Like I feel that people who would be inspired by the clothing or want to wear the clothing are people who realize that this is a fashion statement on saying that I'm actually out here trying to do what I love to do, and I'm taking all the pitfalls and all of the ups and downs that kind of come with it because it's me. Like your growth and your passion grows with you. So it grows through every pain that you go through. It grows through every external problem that happens with you. It grows through your relationships. It grows through everything. You know what I'm saying? And as long as you stay creative, that's what makes it being a creative. That's what it makes being a creative is. It's like putting all of your emotions sometime into an art form. And it can be fashion, it can be painting, it can be dance, it can be music, it can be anything of that nature. But I feel like when we are in this place, it can tend to be a moment where we lose track of the fact that we're still giving ourselves out, and we have to be very gentle with ourselves in the opportunities that we decide to take on. Everything isn't going to be a win, and everything isn't going to be a loss. You know what I'm saying? But you have to take all of it because that's all part of you, because that's what fashion really is. You know what I'm saying? It's self-expression. So that's why there's so many changes in season. So I would say just to stick at it. And if you believe that you never look bad if what you're wearing is like yourself, like, you know what I'm saying? So as long as you believe in everything that you're doing is you, and you feel like you still look good in whatever you're wearing, if you're in fashion and everything that you're making, like you gonna always be your own biggest billboard. So you have to still walk in that whether nobody cares about it or not. And eventually people will start caring about it. So.
Outro?
Okay. Cause I definitely talk about the fall line. So, okay, so outro. So I mean, like I said, I appreciate being happy to have this moment to talk. Like I said, for me, this is me just kind of getting into the fact that I'm starting a new line with Geeked. We're in the second year of it, so I'm doing a fall line, which I'm really trying to expand more of my creativity into more of a streetwear kind of fashion. So, I mean, we already have crew necks, but I'm trying to dive into more flannels and crew necks and windbreakers and just more things that I would want to wear other than just the t-shirts and the normal business of things. So I feel that because of that mind state that I want to be in, of like I want to make sure I'm doing what I love to do, and I love doing it. Like that's kind of what this fall line represents. Like these are more of a big statement shirts. If anyone's followed more of the Geek line, Geek was kind of like always more at the forefront in the shirts, but it's the statement that actually means something. That those two lines, love what you do and do what you love, were pretty much the lines that I decided to stay with after if you were a part of the first end. Like, you know, it was more different phrases, stay yourself, and things of that nature. But yeah, so it's just with this line. So I just wanted to have a moment that I can talk to everybody about me. I've been with Geekset for a very long time. I mean, we've been doing this stuff now. We're going on 5 years. So I felt that this was a moment that if you haven't been aware of Geekset or the innards of Geekset, being able to kind of put this together to kind of talk about some of the other inner workings that are going on other than just podcasting was well needed for where we're at in our careers right now with Geekset. So as one of the members of Geekset, BacardiSensei, who's actually the brand manager and fashion designer, I had to have a moment to kind of just talk my shit. So I appreciate having the moment. Thanks, shout out to Marcus, shout out to KMG Media for really giving me this opportunity, or working with me on this opportunity to actually do this project. You guys are gonna see more, of course, but thank you for having this moment with me. Appreciate it.